Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, ever merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, my dear viewers. Welcome to tonight's lecture organized by the UK Talim Department. As per our tradition, we will start the program with a recitation from the Holy Quran. May I call our brother Barak Sahib to read a portion of the Holy Quran in the English translation. Barak, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخش إلا الله فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين أجعلتم سقاية الحاج وعمارة المسجد الحرام كمن آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وجاهد في سبيل الله لا يستوون عند الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Now the English translation. This is the chapter 9, Surah Toba, verse 18 and 19. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the most gracious. He alone can keep the mosques of Allah in a good and flourishing condition, who believes in Allah and the last day, and observes prayer and pays the zakat, and fears none but Allah. So these it is who may be among those who reach the goal. Do you hold the giving of drink to the pilgrims and the maintenance of the sacred mosque as equal to the works of him who believes in Allah and the last day and strives in the path of Allah? They are not at all equal in the sight of Allah, and Allah guides not the unjust people.
Jazakallah for a very wonderful read and also quite relevant to today's lecture. Tonight, we have the pleasure of being joined by our brother Irfan Quraishi Sahib, who will be delivering a lecture on the Baitul Futuh Mosque development project. Mr. Irfan Quraishi Sahib is also serving as the Secretary Jaidad for the Jamaat. So he is the right person indeed we have today to deliver this lecture. As always, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions towards the end. Could you please type your questions into the chat and kindly ensure these are relevant to tonight's topic. It gives me great pleasure to hand over to Mr. Quraishi Sahib, who will deliver the lecture on the Baitul Futuh redevelopment project. Jazakallah.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I've prepared a presentation. So let me just share screen. Do you see that presentation up on the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. So you are able. Let me just. Maybe what I'll have to do is just do it like that. Okay. Jazakallah for the introduction. I serve as Secretary Jaidad for UK Jamaat, and I've had the honor of serving this in this role since 2014. With that, my background is I'm a civil engineer by profession, and recently, or 2 or 3 years ago, completed my chartership with the Institute of Civil Engineers, and also have the honor and serving in the capacity of Vice Chairman of the International Association of Ahmadi Architects and Engineers. Um, so in terms of working in the construction industry, I have been working in this field for 18 years, and obviously a huge blessing to be serving the Jamaat in this capacity. So I would request everyone's prayers that I am able to continue to serve the Jamaat to the best of my abilities. So, in terms of the Baitul Futuh Mosque redevelopment project, um, as everyone's aware, that the project actually came about when we had this fire in the administrative block of the front complex, and the fire brigade worked very hard in order to preserve a large part of the building or buildings of the complex. So the front part of the building that got destroyed in the fire had to be completely demolished, and once it was demolished, it had to be um, the old foundations that used to take the building, even they were rendered completely unusable. So the project had to be started from scratch with new foundations in the ground, and it's a completely new building. Some people think that it just redevelopment is not really, or reconstruction is not really the right word. It is essentially a new building that is being constructed right from the scratch, with its own new foundations and new walls, completely separate to all the adjacent buildings within the main complex. So moving on to the next slide, I just want to start with showing you just the outside facade. We have a drone footage here. It just shows you the unique stonework that we have, the screens that we have at the front. We have the internal screen and the external screen, showing the grand facade of the building, with the arches at the bottom, which actually link the colonnade. Now going to the next slide, which gives you the bird's eye view of where we are in terms of the building. You can see the external work with all the stonework, the cladding, the screens with the arches. They have been installed. The minarets have been installed. The dome has been installed. Some solar panels that you can see in the picture. They've been installed to both wings and also the top roof. The west wing, we call this the west wing, and we call the east side of the building to the west wing. The stonework to the west wing has also been now installed. A huge amount of external work, I would say 90% of the external work is now complete. There is landscaping to do on the outside. There is still some work to come. There's a gatehouse that still needs to be constructed. So there is some external work still outstanding, but predominantly the from the main building as such, apart from the fixtures and fittings, i.e. the lighting and the camera installations, predominantly we would say that the external building is complete. That's another picture showing the, and this picture is quite good in, you can um, gauge the scale of the site, how big our site is. So you can see all the way to the rear car park, and then all the way around to the front, the 5.5 acre site, which is the unique plot of land that Alhamdulillah Jamaat owns, and the front facing being London Road. Previously, if you imagine the front where we had just it was the old London Dairies bottling plant. The front entrance was not very appealing, but with this new building that we have, and Allah works in His own ways, we've had to have this fire, after which we had to demolish the front section completely and then rebuild something, which actually gives the site a good face from London Road. And London Road actually the main road, which actually picks up the front of the building. And that's why the local council, Merton Council, were also quite excited about this development. They called this a landmark site, and they were extremely pleased that such a development is happening in their borough, and they are proud to have us actually in their council. So and you can see around Morden they use our mosque in a lot of leaflets and what have you. That is because we are part and parcel of the local community, and we are part of the fabric of Morden or Merton. That's another view. You can see the scale of the building in comparison to the road networks next door, and the railway bridge or the railway track from British Rail. And then you can see our main mosque at the back with Tahir Hall and the other adjoining buildings in the complex. That's again the front picture of the facade with the dome right at the top. When the architect originally designed this facade, it had not put in the dome. When the plans were sent to Hudur Agdas actually added the dome and the two minarets on the side, in terms of in terms of the review by Hudur Agdas. So these two minarets that you see on both sides are the minarets that used to be on the old building, which got destroyed, but we were able to keep the minarets. So they were given a new sort of paint color and some new screens around that, and then these two minarets were installed on the new building. Again, another picture of the front. That's another picture of the front showing the. You can see the west wing as well. This is the library at the back. Bird's eye view. Now, looking at the layout, the building essentially has 4 floors. But if we include the mezzanine floors, it will be five stories. It's got circulation spaces. It's got 2 staircases on both sides, west and the east side, and then it's got lifts on both sides, taking the visitors all the way up to the top to the 4th floor. On the ground floor, we have Nasir Hall, which is the main hall. We had Nasir Hall in the previous building that got completely removed, and then a new Nasir Hall is being constructed in here, or has been constructed. We've got the mezzanine floors. Nasir Hall is a double height hall. You'll see pictures in a few minutes. But because Nasir Hall is double height, It gives room for two mezzanine floors either side of Nasir Hall. We call it the eastern, the western side and the eastern side, east and west. And then we go up. We got Noor Hall on the floor above with some offices. Then second floor is completely offices. Then we have third floor, which is completely reserved for guest accommodation of visitors that come to visit His Holiness Hazur Abdas. And then the final floor is the very top floor, which is the fourth floor. There are two floors in this building that are completely dedicated to guest accommodation, and that's the third floor and the fourth floor. So Nasser Hall is has a hall um, for could be used for functions. The Noor Hall is another hall on the first floor, the mezzanine floors, and then the two floors which have guest accommodation. In terms of the front facade, it has been cladded with this stone that has come from a quarry in Portugal. It's a natural stone, limestone, which is a self-cleaning product, and the company LSI, who has provided this stone from Portugal, they have also provided this stone to many unique buildings around the world, including World Trade Center. In actual fact, when Amir Saab, myself, and Nasir Khan Saab were had visited Portugal to select the stone, the a group from the World Trade Center was also there looking at their stone that was in already in production. So uh, this is quite an expensive sort of undertaking in terms of design to put a natural product on the building. Stone has to be quarried from a site, and these comes in the stone that is quarried come in large slabs of big blocks of stone, and they're cut into these pieces. So each of these stone pieces that you see, they are 40 mil thick and or 4 centimeters thick. So you can't actually see it from looking at the column, but each piece is quite a thick stone that's been cladded over. Yeah, we've had to install secondary steelwork from the main steelwork in order to house the steel on each of these columns, and they've come in large slabs of 600 mil high, and they give the cladding around each of these columns, and all of these are 600 bands that the architect has designed, and so each of these blocks are 600 high, 600 wide, the way it's been designed by the architect. Um, Again, then on the front we've got these screens, which is quite customary in Muslim architecture or Islamic architecture, that screens are used to form an effect, and the geometric design gives an enhancement to the beauty of the actual mosque or the facade of the building. So we got the GRC dome. We've got the CNC carved stonework. So the stone that we will have, although we've not carved um, the uh, the inscription or the kalma within the stone itself, but what we will be doing is pretty much similar to what we have in Masjid Mubarak in Islamabad, the bronze sort of plating, and that will have we're still in design at the moment, and that'll be that'll be coming out. Then we have the limestone cladding, which is what I talked about earlier. And then we have these screens. So we've got these screens around the windows, and we've got the external screen and the internal screen. Then we've got this is the Mashrabia screen on the outside, which is the external screen, and the bronze colored um, lantern feature, which is that you've seen that. It's not really bronze. At the time of planning, we were thinking that we'll make it bronze, but we've managed to match it um, with the actual stonework, and and then we will have some glazed paneling, um, which will be similar to what we have um, on the mosque. You know, the balustrading. Now, in terms of the scale and appearance, this new building that's been constructed is 25% larger in space than what we had previously. Although we've taken the front line of it back, because that was single story with the old Nasir Hall. But this is um, even by cutting it back 5 meters, we've been able to go another story higher. So you can see how it's different in appearance and scale, and it's been moved to the left a little bit, covering up the old walkway that we used to have. So this part of the building sits over the walkway that leads up to the back. So that's the Mashrabia screens. The external screen is like a star-like design, and the internal is our main design that we've had in the main Baitul Futuh complex. So that is been done to replicate what we've got in the mosque already, not creating a completely new design, but matching it with the main mosque. So this design you will see everywhere in the main mosque, and that's the star-like design on the outside. Now, ground floor, what we've got Nasir Hall, we've got toilets on both sides, we've got some certain offices, and then we've got the main VIP room. We've got kitchen facilities there, not kitchen preparation, but not cooking, but food prep and servery sort of kitchen facilities. We got a boiler room on this side. We got the lifts on both sides, two lifts either side, and we've got staircases on both sides. We got the entrance steps to come into the main colonnade, and then we've got ramps on both sides, allowing segregation when people need to access. Um, and then moving on, this is the main colonnade that we just saw in the plan. You can see this is also stone, but this is Jura limestone, which comes from Germany, a quarry in Germany. So this comes from Portugal. The arches at the top are GRP, and then the Jura limestone that come from Germany. So that's the colonnade. Again, Jura limestone on the ramps, and granite facing on within the ramp itself, which gives the base course. Now we looked at on the plan Nasir Hall, as I mentioned before. Nasir Hall is double height, and with double height ceilings, it gives a room for two mezzanine floors on either side. So behind this wall, there's a mezzanine floor all the way across, and on this side of the wall as well, on the other side, it gives rise to another mezzanine floor. The heating element of that, it was advised by Hazur Agdas that not to go for underfloor heating. The experience from Islamabad was that underfloor heating takes a long time to cool down, and a little bit more time to warm up as well when it's immediately required. So for instant heat provision, Hazur advised us that we go for radiant panels, or not go for underfloor heating. Then the consultants came up with this idea of going with radiant panels at high level, similar to what we have in Tahir Hall, really, with some high level heat provision. Um, as you can see in these are current pictures, so the bulkheads have been done, the taping and jointing has been done, and then the paint work is to follow. And then there will be some acoustic ceiling panels on either side of the radiant panels, which allow us to absorb the sound. So if there's any echo in the hall, any reverberations, that will actually be picked up by those acoustic panels. So a sound consultant has been working with us in trying to provide this design that absorbs all the reverberations in the halls, and that is the case in both the halls, Nasir Hall and Noor Hall. But right at the back, i.e., the stage side, the stage will be there. This is the rear where the colonnade is, but this is the stage side. We're looking to install a video wall, which actually gives electronic feed as opposed to having these banners when we do functions. So we're looking to put a video wall on this front section by the stage. Now this actually shows the plans for the mezzanine floor. So we've got two mezzanine floors, which actually give a decent amount of space on both sides. And then the mezzanine floor also gives rise to access to the west wing, where our IT server room is spaced. The IT office will be there, and that will provide the connectivity to all the floors from this server room. So that's the server room that I talked about, and this is the mezzanine floor area. You can see the arches from the outside. Those arches can give you a view to the outside actually. And then this is the mezzanine floor on the east side. It gives some space. We've had to install two secondary means of escape as well from the from Noor Hall, which we can talk about later when we discuss Noor Hall. But these staircases that you see, they're coming from the first floor. Now, first floor, we have Noor Hall at the front, and then we have offices at the back. So the first floor is split into two. So we have a large conference room, committee room, and then we have various offices for all auxiliary and some UK Jamaat offices as well. So these are the two staircases that I talked about. So the building control required that additional staircases are installed in addition to these two staircases that we had. In terms of emergency, the idea is that these two main staircases will be used by all individuals, but if the hall is occupied, then additional fire escapes would be required. Then these will be used to exit as well to release the load on the staircases. So this is the part of the Nasir Hall, Noor Hall on the first floor on both sides. You can see the lighting is being installed, the radiant panels are already installed. We're waiting for the acoustic paneling to arrive, and once that is done, the ceiling can be completed. This is the other side of the Noor Hall on the first floor, where we've got offices. And all offices come with glazed paneling, and then we will have a film on these panels that gives some privacy to the office users. And each of the doors come with an electronic fob control that allows entry, controlled access to various users. Second floor is dedicated fully to the UK Jamaat offices, and then we have dishes for MTA at the back as well. A lot of you may or may not be aware that from Fazl Mosque, majority of the live streaming now is coming from Baitul Futuh. Even last Jalsa was the first time MTA experimented the use of these dishes from Baitul Futuh. So pretty much every live stream that goes out now goes out from Baitul Futuh. These offices will be dedicated for UK Jamaat departments, and we have some consultation rooms. So that's one of them. The 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, and yeah, 4 consultation rooms. Even this one could be consultation. Basically, that would be controlled access to the main offices. If someone wants to meet certain visitors or individuals, they can come and meet them in the consultation room. There's a kitchenette there, which allows for tea making facilities, and there's a reception area as well. So that just provides controlled access to the main offices, but still meetings can be held with individuals if they need to. And again, we have two staircases on both sides and two lifts on both sides, allowing access to different floors. That's a typical office where it's quite spacious and quite high ceilings as well, which yeah, plenty of natural light from the large glazed sort of windows, and obviously every office comes with an air conditioning unit which allows for heating and cooling both. And then we have the data connectivity in the office, the sockets on both sides in the dado trunking. This is the fob access control that I talked about, that allows access to facilities. Third floor, as I mentioned before, is all dedicated to guest accommodation. We have individual twin rooms. Uh, there are 6 on this floor and 6 on the floor above. And Hazur had specifically advised that we should have recreation rooms or dining rooms on both sides, um, which is how it's been designed. And then we have dormitories for bulk accommodation, and then we have toilets and shower facilities um, for people. But the individual rooms come with their own toilet facilities within them, and then we've got the 2 lifts going either side. So that's hotel style accommodation, 2 beds, radiator, the TV blade, and these are the twin rooms, and these are the dormitories. So dormitories come with their own furniture, and then the beds with some high level storage above the beds. And this is the recreation room or the dining room. There's still ceilings to be installed yet, but nearly there. Third floor, we've got these washrooms, wash hand basins, automatic sensor taps, and then the tiling is done. There is a work to do to connect the final water connections and the balancing, and then it will be commissioned. Um, Fourth floor again, we've got another 6 rooms, and then we've got these dormitories, 3 dormitories, and then the recreation or dining room at the back, with 2 staircases still leading up. The only thing is the lift stops on the floor below, but there's one lift that allows access to the 4th floor. So if someone wants to come from using the lift um, from ground level up, they will have to come to the 3rd floor and then transition to this lift to come up. This is the dining or recreation area. You can see the view to the mosque, quite nice. And then the dormitories on the 4th floor. This is the roof access. It's just a hatch with the corridor on the 4th floor. And then I mentioned this MTA area, the MTA dishes on the 2nd floor. These are the dishes that are streaming live at the moment. This was the architect's impression. As you can see, the building is not far at all from what the architect originally had decided to achieve. We still have to construct the gatehouse, which is underway. Needs to really be set out, and this is the time to do it. This is the existing building, and there's plans of looking at this building as well, so that we can improvise this building by giving some new facilities there. That's just a section of the of the building, and then the final bit is Jazakallah for listening. Hope it was insightful as to where we are on the project. We are looking to complete this project. Uh, Basically, the bulk of the project will be finished September October time, but then externally on the end of this year, I'd say it will be nearly there. Just to give you some facts, key facts on the building. Uh, Approximately 500 tons of steel has gone into the main structure um, above ground, and 400 tons below ground in the piles in terms of reinforcement and ground beams. Not really a statistic, but or 30,000 nuts and bolts to put the steelwork together. 1,250 cubic meters of concrete um, to form the structure. It's quite a lot of concrete. 186 piles. Piles are foundations that go up to 25 meters deep to carry the load of the building. So they 186 piles. 200 cubic meters of groundwater attenuation. Basically, now all new buildings come with groundwater attenuation. It's a release of water into the Thames water sewers has to be done in a controlled manner, and that's why we attenuate the groundwater release or the foul water and surface water release from the site. And then we've got when to do the groundworks, we had to remove 2,000 tons of muck or excavated material from site. As mentioned before, the external cladding is natural limestone that came from Portugal, and we have 47 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof. And so what the idea is to utilize solar technology to pump back into the grid and then buy back from the grid, which is 25% of the electric usage of the new building at the moment. We're utilizing the existing borehole that we had. The milk bottling plant used to have a borehole, and they used to use it, and we are trying to utilize, or we will be utilizing, inshallah, the borehole from water from that borehole with some water treatment for this new building. John McCadlin Partners, a well-renowned architect, has done the design of the building, and he specializes in fake buildings. They worked in the Middle East. They worked on King's Cross Station as well, here in London. So the scheme comes with a gatehouse that will be constructed there, and then this building needs to be given a facelift as well, which will be done as part of this development, inshallah. Okay, with those points, I think I can close my presentation, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, Jazakallah. I think Kamal Sab is oh, here he is.
Jazakallah for a very educational and quite informative presentation. You know, just after Baitul Futuh got burned and Uzur delivered his Friday sermon, he did say that what will come up would be indeed something that would be for the glory of Allah. And that's exactly what is happening now. So may Allah bless you for updating us on this project. I would hand over to Shakil Sahib now for the final section um, of the lecture today. Jazakallah.
All right, Jazakallah. Jazakallah, Irfan Sahib. I think you went through such a comprehensive presentation. This one question is with regards to the building. I think it says there whether you had considered, or the plans have considered the sustainability and the environmental aspect as well or not,
Yeah,
such as using the natural lights and things like that.
yeah. So it's a very good question, and this building is needs to achieve. Um, I'm not sure how much people will be aware, but I'll give you a quick brief as to BREEAM is quite deals with the sustainability issues. BREEAM stands for British Research Establishment Environmental Assessment Method. So that environmental assessment method actually details what needs to happen for a building to achieve, and there are various criteria that a building needs to achieve to actually meet the standards. So there is, we are on this building, we're trying to achieve a very good rating. Um, After very good, there's outstanding, but we are targeting a very good rating. Only the top 25% of the buildings constructed in the UK reach the very good rating um, as part of BREEAM. So the sustainability aspects, like plenty of natural light coming into the building needs to meet certain criteria in terms of construction, recycling of waste, um, not a huge amount of uh, mm, material needs to be dumped into landfill um, during construction. What we put in as part of ventilation and the lighting that we provide needs to be energy efficient. Um, Also, there needs to be good facilities for people who cycle to the mosque. There need to be good facilities for uh, people who come into the building. They need to be, the environment needs to be welcoming, and they need to feel um, healthy in terms of their well-being within the mosque. So the users of the mosque should feel good by using it, and they're the criteria for assessing that. And the building meets it. And Alhamdulillah, Allah has given the UK Jamaat the honor of building such a unique building, which will inshallah be a landmark building for not just the UK Jamaat, but throughout the world. This will be one of the building of its kind that we will all be proud of. So,
Jazakallah for that. There's one other question is asked about how many, I think, how many people it can accommodate. Has it increased the capacity, or is it still this what it was previously?
so as I mentioned before, it's 25% more than what we used to have before. It's
Okay.
hard to actually judge in terms of capacity, but we can certainly have more people in Nasir Hall if you're doing a function um, than what we used to have, and also Noor Hall as well. You can have larger functions in comparison. Although Nasir Hall and Noor Hall, the setup is different, but in terms of square meterage, it amounts to pretty much the same. It's 650 square meters. It's slightly smaller than Tahir Hall. In terms of Tahir Hall, will still remain the largest hall in the complex, but Nasir Hall and Noor Hall are equally as big in terms of square meterage. So there are 650 square meters, both the halls.
All right. Jazakallah for that. Jazakallah viewers for watching our lectures online. Please continue to watch our lectures. On Mondays is our Urdu lecture, and on Tuesday is our English lecture. And if you have any suggestions or any comments, please feel free to email to talimonline at ahmadiyauk.org as is shown on the screen. And if you have any further suggestions in terms of lecture topics, please email to that address. Right. At this stage, can I just request our guest speaker to lead us in the silence prayers, please?
Please join me in silent prayer. Ameen.
Amen.
Amen. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alayhi salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.